Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Controversial figure Tommy Robinson has been jailed for 18 months after he admitted 10 counts of contempt of court relating to breaches of an injunction. Now this has sparked outrage amongst his supporters, claiming that he is now a political prisoner, the victim of two-tier policing, and is being silenced for publishing the truth. So what's happened in this case? Well, I've read the 20-page judgment of Mr. Justice Johnson, so you don't have to, and in this video I'm going to summarise it so that you can decide for yourself. Welcome to my channel, Andy on Crime, where I talk about high-profile criminal cases and other aspects of criminal law in England and Wales. And before I get into the video, if you do want to support my channel, then please click the link in the description and sign up to NordVPN for a big discount, and you'll be helping me out at the same time. Thank you. So in this video, I'm going to cover the following from the judgment. And again, I've put a link in the description to the judgment if you want to read it in full. But I'm going to cover the facts of the case, the contempt of court applications, of which there are two, the application to set aside the warrant for Tommy Robinson's arrest, the legal framework behind injunctions and how they are enforced, and also what sanctions can be awarded for contempt of court. And I'm going to cover what breaches the judge found in this case, and then finally I'm going to cover sentencing and the sentencing remarks of the judge so that you can understand how he came to the sentence that he did, where he awarded 18 months custody. Now, based on my experience of previously doing a Tommy Robinson video, there may be a few supporters who do watch this video. Now, this video is not intended to discuss whether or not the judge in the original case, the libel case, was right to find Tommy Robinson liable for defamation and to grant an injunction. This is to look at the consequences of Tommy Robinson breaching that injunction and what happened as a result. With all that being said, let's get into the video. So starting with the facts of this case, and I've hopefully split screened this if my editing abilities are up to it. If not, I'll just chuck it on the screen. But you should see now some extracts from the judgment. Now at paragraphs 1 to 7, it outlines the facts of this case, and this case relates to a video back in October of 2018 of a 15-year-old boy named Jamal Hijazi, a Syrian schoolboy who was filmed being attacked at a school in Huddersfield. After the video went viral in 2018, Tommy Robinson claimed in two Facebook videos that Jamal Hijazi was not innocent and he violently attacks young English girls in his school. And these videos posted by Tommy Robinson were viewed nearly 1 million times. Jamal Hijazi sued Tommy Robinson for defamation, with his lawyers stating that the comments had a devastating effect on him and his family who had come to the UK as refugees, forcing them to move home and abandon his education. Tommy Robinson lost that case after Mr. Justice Nicklin ruled in Jamal Hijazi's favour. He granted Jamal Hijazi £100,000 in damages, and he also imposed an injunction to stop Robinson from repeating the allegations that were the subject of the defamation hearing. Now in June 2023, so this is a couple of years after the ruling and the injunction was granted, solicitors for Jamal Hijazi wrote to the Attorney General, who deals with matters of contempt of court, alleging that Tommy Robinson had breached the injunction. And lawyers for the Attorney General, who's now known as the applicant in these proceedings, wrote to Tommy Robinson's solicitors, who denied that there had been any breaches. In June 2024, the applicant, so the lawyers for the Attorney General, made a contempt of court application claiming that a film called Silenced included statements prohibited by the injunction and that Robinson had given interviews where he made statements in breach of that injunction. A hearing was listed on Monday the 29th of July 2024, but Tommy Robinson was arrested the day before for an unrelated matter. He was then released and he left the UK, so did not attend the hearing on the 29th of July 2024, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. There was then a second contempt application put forward by the applicant, which related to further instances of the sharing of the film Silenced and more interviews given by Robinson in breach of the injunction. And a hearing was set for the 28th of October 2024 to hear the contempt hearing. On the 21st of September 2024, Tommy Robinson began to engage with these proceedings and stated that he would attend the hearing on the 28th of October 2024 and asked for the warrant for his arrest to be set aside, i.e. cancelled. He was told to make a formal application, which he did when he engaged with lawyers, and they made the formal application on his behalf. Now, the judge refused the application to set aside the warrant, as he stated that Robinson had breached an order to attend a previous hearing and had instead left the UK and left the jurisdiction. The judge felt it necessary to remand him to secure his attendance at the hearing on the 28th of October 2024. So when Tommy Robinson did return to the UK shortly before this hearing on the 28th of October, he was arrested and he was remanded into custody. So this whole case revolves around the breach of an injunction. So what is an injunction? Well, in simple terms, it is an order from the court to an individual not to do something, with penalties attached to it which can be enforced if the person subjected to the order breaches it. And in paragraphs 29 to 30, the judge goes into more detail about how sanctions are applied for a breach of an injunction. In summary, it is dealt with by the common law through the law of contempt of court. And the sanctions or punishments for contempt of court can be up to 2 years in prison. And the judge sets out in detail at paragraphs 33 to 45 the other sanctions that were available to him and how they apply. So a couple of quick points on the law of contempt of court. Now, for contempt of court in this scenario, an individual does not plead guilty like a normal criminal offence. Instead, they admit or deny the contempt of court. Now, in effect, it is basically the same thing. It's just there is different terminology used. Now, if an individual admits the contempt of court, they will usually receive a reduction in the sanction that is to be imposed, similar to the way that you get a third off your sentence if you plead guilty at the first opportunity if you're charged with a criminal offence. And there were 10 alleged breaches, but the maximum sentence that could be imposed could not go beyond 2 years. In terms of the breaches of the injunction in this case, at paragraph 54, the judge outlined that the language in the injunction was clear that Tommy Robinson should not, whether by himself, his servants, agents, or otherwise howsoever, publish or cause or authorise or procure the publications of the specified allegations or any similar allegations. The judge then goes into detail at paragraphs 57 to 62 about the film Silenced. He found that a significant part of the film sought to show that Mr. Justice Nicklin, the judge in the libel case, was wrong to find that the statements made about Jamal Hijazi were false, and in that film Tommy Robinson repeated allegations prohibited by the injunction. In total, 4 of the breaches that were alleged in this case related to the publication of the film Silenced, including on X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, and when it was broadcast in Trafalgar Square. And the other 6 breaches that were alleged related to interviews that Tommy Robinson conducted, where he repeated the allegations in breach of the injunction. Now, Tommy Robinson admitted to all 10 breaches of the injunction and to being in contempt of court at this hearing, so that he then fell to be sentenced for these offences. Now, when determining the appropriate sanction for these offences, the judge had to consider Tommy Robinson's culpability and harm. So the higher the culpability and harm, the higher the sentence would be. The lower the culpability and harm, the lower the sentence would be. So in terms of culpability, the judge found that there was a degree of sophistication in the breaches in that they involved the planned release of material in a way to seek to achieve maximum coverage, and that Robinson bears the highest level of culpability for each breach of the injunction. With regards to harm, the judge found that each breach amounted to medium to high level harm, but was not at the highest end of the spectrum. So having established Tommy Robinson's culpability and harm, the judge is then required to consider any aggravating or mitigating factors. These are factors that might increase the sentence or decrease the sentence depending on the factors. One of the aggravating factors the judge found was that 5 of the breaches had occurred after the first contempt application had been submitted. So the law officers for the Attorney General had submitted the contempt application for the first 5 breaches, and then subsequent to that a further 5 breaches had occurred, so the judge determined that that was an aggravating factor of these offences. In terms of mitigating factors, the judge noted that the prospect of custody would have a significant impact on Tommy Robinson's mental health. So taking all those factors into account, the judge determined that the custody threshold was passed, which meant that the only appropriate sentence was one of custody. The question was, how long would that custodial sentence be? As I mentioned, the maximum for this sentence is 2 years or 24 months. So the judge, having considered the aggravating and mitigating factors and taking into account all of the breaches, the judge came to the determination that 20 months should be the appropriate sentence. What the judge then did was give credit to Tommy Robinson for admitting these offences at this hearing and gave him a 1/10 reduction. So that resulted in a sentence of 18 months for all of the offences. So they'll run concurrent to each other. They won't be consecutive, so one after the other. They will run alongside each other at the same time. The judge also took into account that Tommy Robinson had spent 3 days in custody when he was arrested prior to the hearing, so those 3 days were deducted from his sentence. So he will serve 18 months minus 3 days from the 28th of October. So to summarise, Tommy Robinson was found liable for libel after he defamed a 15-year-old Syrian refugee who was attacked at a school in Huddersfield. He was ordered to pay damages of £100,000 and was subjected to an injunction which prohibited him from repeating those allegations with which he was found to have defamed the Syrian refugee. He then released a film called Silenced, which was posted on social media and was seen in the UK and worldwide, and he gave interviews to various people where he repeated those allegations which were in violation of the injunction. The Attorney General brought 2 separate proceedings for contempt of court against Tommy Robinson, and then on the 28th of October 2024, he admitted all 10 breaches. The judge found, weighing up all of the factors of this case, that a sentence of 18 months imprisonment was appropriate, and he will now serve that sentence. That's all for this video. If you do have any comments, then please drop them down below. If you did enjoy this video, then please do give it a like. And if you'd like to see more from me, then please do subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Take care.